Welcome to Ready Set Exec, the podcast where we sit down with executives across North America to unpack their business, leadership, and expertise.
And every other week, join us for Market Watch, all things hiring, real insights and no fluff. Hey everyone, I'm here with Kushmaro, marketing leader, growth strategist, the founder of PKDMA, a marketing strategy consultancy and co-founder of Maguire, a lifestyle tech brand for motherhood. He helps companies build smarter brands, stronger demand, and real momentum through a mix of strategic thinking and hands-on execution. It's good to have you on, Phil.
Hey, good to see you again, John. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
We were talking about, the job market right now, and if you're in marketing, it's pretty brutal. I mean, for every executive, but in
Yes.
marketing especially.
Yes.
And I guess, if we're going to get into that right away, it's sort of like one of the things you've been up to lately is like helping people that are, in the marketing field or your peers, let's say, consider maybe opening their own business or doing something while they're out of work, right?
Yeah. Before we get into that, which definitely will, I want to talk about the reason why this is happening, why we're seeing a lot of job losses when it comes to the marketing department or marketing leaders. And one of the things that we've lost is what marketing actually is versus the expectation from, the CEOs and other executives in the company, what they're expecting marketing to do. So marketing is trying to distribute as much as possible the brand, right? Get the brand consistent, give the brand a voice. What most executives see this, especially CEOs, and say, oh, I got a marketing person on, blah, 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 is they see somebody who's going to bring in money. Now, don't get me wrong, marketing does lead to sales, and it has to lead to sales at the end of the day. But there's a reason why they're two different departments. Marketing department is the department that tries to bring in people as much as possible. The connotation I like to use is always, think of your business. Think of it as a brick and mortar. Doesn't matter if you're tech in the cloud, and you have a door. Marketing is all the signs. It's all the arrows pointing towards the door. It's getting people excited to come close to that building. Sales is the ones that actually pull them in and actually close them. And that is what a lot of times these CEOs or other executives in the business think that marketing is supposed to do. Marketing is supposed to close right away, and that doesn't happen. And because of that, when you're, instead of hiring, for example, a sales leader first and you hire a marketing leader first, what ends up happening is you're expecting sales from that marketing leader. Now, there are marketers out there that understand how sales work. And if you have a business that has let's say, quick checkout, then it could work sometimes. But at the end of the day, if you're talking about B2B businesses, you need a sales team. They're different animals, but they have to work in tandem.
Yeah.
So that's like one thing that there's a lot of when it comes to misalignment and what kills a lot of the momentum, honestly. Now, going back to, let's just say, okay, you are a marketer and you were hired and then fired because of what's going on in the world, because it's the first thing to cut off when businesses are worried about their overhead and cash flow is, okay, let's cut the marketing team. So then what happens to the marketer? Well, I don't want to get too much into AI because I'm sure you guys have talked about AI a lot, even though I can probably get into it. But utilizing frameworks that exist currently to take your skills. So a marketer, if they've been in the business for a long time, I have 15 years, more or less, hundreds of companies gone through me. One of the things that I've learned is not only the marketing side of things, I've learned the business side of things. And if you are a marketer that matters or that can actually make a difference, you understand how everything works in a company. And that's how marketing, by the way, should work in a business. So if you have that experience, you can utilize that to build your own business, especially today with the tools that you have. It's very, very easy to start your own thing. It doesn't have to necessarily be a marketing consultancy or a marketing agency. I actually suggest to move away from that. There's a joke in the industry where there's more marketing agencies than there are actual businesses. So we don't need more consultants. We don't need more consultants. We don't need more agencies. There are enough of those. We need people to build businesses based on what they think, where they think they can solve a problem. So could get into Maguire afterwards, which is why kind of me and my wife co-founded it. But I think right now there is a very, very low barrier when it comes to building your own business, or at least reaching a point in which you can figure out if a business that you want to build is worth building.
So a lot to unpack there.
Yes. Yes.
I guess first off, when it comes to like building a business, if you're unemployed, I guess the idea of like cash flow and having money to invest is difficult. So I'm assuming you're talking businesses that require like low barrier to entry, maybe tech enabled because they're easy to build with some of the coding tools out there and so on. Like just trying to understand what kind, because otherwise you do need to have that seed money or something, some kind of investor.
Correct. And yes, correct. And God knows it's difficult. I'm trying to do that right now with Maguire. It's incredibly difficult with just a concept, even though I do have now like actual products you can grab and touch. It's still very difficult today to raise money. So the answer to that is depends. Very marketing answer, but it depends. Yes, you're right. There are a lot of things you can do where you do not need to raise capital. But there's also going down the capital route. Now, hopefully, if again, like I said, you just got fired and you took a week to yourself and you still get unemployment insurance, hopefully, right? I'm talking about the best case scenario. Utilize that time to build that new business that you believe can work, and either finding accelerators or just digging into your network. Again, hopefully you've been in the business long enough to make those connections, and you could go big like I am. Like I'm trying to. I'm literally trying to change a whole industry right now, which is crazy with my wife. So the safer way is trying to find something that does not need investment. And again, you can build tools, can build things really cool with the coding tools that we have today with AI, but you can also go the other route. And in the meantime, find something else. There's no right way. It's the way that you feel you can do the best and just moving forward.
Well, use some of that creativity, because it seems in marketing that these days that creativity is to the wayside and it's all about sales enablement, right? As you said, about leads and so on. So
yeah,
that's definitely a major theme we see with every search we're doing in marketing. It's the main ask from the leaders hiring, right?
yeah.
So with some of the coding tools, I guess the question comes up is, because it's so easy to make now, like I can go in Claude Code and make something, and I'm assuming other people can copy and do the same or better. How do you differentiate when you're in a sea of like this AI, not to say AI slop tools, but there's so many of these AI tools coming out right now. It's like, how do you differentiate? How are you going to actually get revenue, get people to trust you and not be duplicated and replicated right away? Because if I see an idea, I'm going to go and try to copy it with the code tool, right? So it's like, this becomes a really messed up kind of scenario, I guess, for starting a business.
It does. But so I can get into finding businesses that finding problems, falling in love with problems in industries that are not tech savvy is probably one of the things that I would look into. But let's just say you do want to go down the tech route.
Yeah.
And this is where I come up with the analogy, the teams analogy. I'm using basketball just because, you can, if you pick another sport, like even lose soccer potentially, but let's use basketball for this. What's the actual difference between the LA Lakers and the Clippers?
Well, I mean, you could say the team and the logo and the history,
Exactly. So technically on paper, again, obviously the Lakers have a little bit better outcome, but on paper, they basically do the same thing. You might love the Clippers over the Lakers because you maybe live in a certain area. You might love them more because of potentially maybe a certain player, or because your father loved them, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets inherited to you. At the end of the day, though, The Lakers and the Clippers do just about the same thing. And the only difference is the marketing around them. It's the essence of who they are. It's their brand. And that is what's going to differentiate you with other businesses that do the exact same thing. You could say the same thing when it comes to, let's just say, pressure washing. Okay, maybe somebody does it a little bit better than another, but the way you'll get enticed to, if you see some ad on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, if you're still using it, if you see something that resonates with you with their branding, that's the reason you'll take them rather than somebody else.
Yeah.
And then it comes back to the fundamentals of marketing again, because even before this, there are still companies that do the exact same thing on paper, right? And you went to them because of a reason. Now those reasons are a little bit, now they're less about execution of the tool. It's more about the vibe that they give. And
Yeah.
I hate saying this as somebody who's been in tech for a very, very long time, because you care about what the actual product does. But today the product can be duplicated, like you said, in 24 hours in some cases. Worst case, 8 weeks.
So are we just in like the vibe purchasing atmosphere now? It's all about vibes and pricing. Like who's the cheapest, who's got the best vibes? That's what I'm buying because it's all the same. It's starting to feel like that. I mean, just to
Yes.
give you an example, I was looking at ATS systems in the summer.
Yeah.
And honestly, like everyone's copying each other's features. It's crazy. Like how close they were in terms of features. It came down to maybe like UI, UX a little bit, but it was price. Features were nearly identical.
Mhm.
I struggled to find differences. Like we did a analysis of all of them because we were really taking the time to really figure out what we wanted to do.
Mhm.
And it was like they're all the same, or like if one doesn't have it, the other one's gonna copy it really soon. I mean, everyone brought in AI in into their systems,
Yeah.
and
AI
just
features.
slapped it on. Like so.
Yes. Yes, 100%. In those cases, for those companies, customer service will probably be
Yeah.
the differentiator. So being the first thing they see, that's a huge, like these are things, again, these are marketing fundamentals that have not changed, but now they're way, way more important. And when somebody would say to me in the past, marketing is not a moat, which would drive me crazy. Now, if they say that to me, I can tell them, well, okay, so what is a moat then? Because your tool is not a moat, but what you can do is not a moat. The moat are the things that surround marketing, branding, your interaction with the customer. That's what really matters today. And yeah, it's
No,
crazy.
I mean, it sucks having to work with a lot of these vendors we have, like tech vendors, where you have to use an AI bot. There's no human interaction at all. Like just for example, with an Instagram account, that you can't even talk to anybody. There's no like there's no interaction no matter what you do to find, like even with Google, to get someone on the line is really difficult. You have to go wade through all these different sequences and so on. So customer service, yeah, I mean, a bad experience and can cause someone not to want to renew for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. So tell me about Maguire. I know a little bit about it. We've seen the handbag and stuff, but tell me maybe the story.
Sure. So going back to what I mentioned, trying to solve a problem that you have that you feel more people have. And this started with my wife. She knows what I do, obviously. And she always throws all these ideas at me all the time. She throws ideas at me. And a lot of the times I recognize that even doing just a little bit of research, I recognize pretty quickly that it'll take too much investment to actually break into, or the problem isn't a problem that everybody has. And then my wife talked to me about our experience, specifically her experience when it came to giving birth. We have 4 kids, and you can see a few in the back there. I got to get updated ones. But every time, no matter how many times we did this, there's always something missing when we had to go to the hospital bed. There's always something missing there, whether we planned for it or not. And that's where the idea came up. And when I did the research, I noticed that there are maybe 2 companies out there that do it. One pretty successful, one not even worth mentioning, and a bunch of mommies on Etsy. that are trying to build their own kind of birthing bags for the hospital.
Yeah.
So that's where the idea first came out of. And now it evolved. It evolved to not just being a copy paste of the real competitor that's out there. We wanted to change it, and we wanted to go high end. So we're now the bags themselves, like high end leather, stitched very, very well. The whole process, like the due diligence behind it is way more than honestly I thought it was going to be, to bring in a bag that you can call a quality bag.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. Second thing was, okay, how do we make it for mothers today and not just be a lifestyle brand? Because for me, just being a lifestyle brand again, it feels like hopeless, and that's not going to push you from maybe making a couple million years to making $500 million a year. That's how I want to look at it. I just want this to be $1 billion company. So I said, let's bring in the tech. And that's where we are going to actually create, as a part of the package, is a motherhood operating system, meaning a system that helps a mother from trying to conceive until 3 years after birth, all depending on what stage the mother is in and what the mother wants and what the mother cares about. So, for example, a 40-year-old mother with 3 kids that wants to have a child, or has a child and needs to deal with everything around it, will have a different experience at every stage than a 24-year-old mother that's having her first child, right? Everything from religious wants and needs to medical wants and needs. So that is kind of where we're differentiating ourselves from the not only the hospital bag industry, which is kind of small, but it's there, but from the industry as a whole. We're trying to, the tagline is elevating motherhood, but at the end of the day, there are 2 issues in the world at the moment. And regardless of what everybody says, there are 2 issues. 1, mother satisfaction is at its lowest. And 2, birth rates are at their lowest.
Yeah.
And
I've heard a
they're
lot
connected. And they're connected. So we're trying to fix that without dwelling in the past, why we're at this situation. We're trying to utilize tech to help moms as much as possible want to be mothers, and more than once, because we need that for the human race. So that's Maguire in a nutshell.
So when you say like supporting mothers, is this like a community group? Like they're basically like an app-based community where you can go in and talk with other moms and have help, or is there resources, or what kind of things do you want to offer with that?
So the community aspect is going to be the last part of this. This is going to be an AI-driven helper. Think of, if you remember the movie Her.
Yeah.
But instead of her, it's going to be for her. So this is going to be an app that's going to help the mother. We're going to add all kind of psychological LLMs, medical LLMs. We're going to make sure, obviously, that we're not a doctor. This app is not a doctor, but it'll help the mother as much as possible on the psychological side of things and physical side of things and mental and on the medical side of things, suggest what to talk to your doctor about.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
you got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Like liability wise, we understand the liability here. We don't want to take it. Obviously, we don't want to be liable for anybody hurting themselves or their baby. So obviously, we're taking that out. But we are going to help them as much as possible to be able to converse with their medical professional as best as possible.
So it's almost like a doula, a virtual doula almost.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the name of what we're actually going to call the agent or helper or whatever you want to call it. But yes, it's basically a virtual doula, a virtual midwife.
Yeah.
That'll help you kind of / psychologist that'll help you kind of navigate the troublehoods of motherhood.
And then also with postpartum too, because that's a major problem for a lot of people.
Yes. Well, for women, but yeah. Some could
Well,
some could argue
it's a
men
problem
too.
for everybody.
Yeah, for everybody. Yes, I agree. Yes.
It's a
So,
problem
like
for
I said,
everybody.
there's a postpartum part as well. It'll take into consideration again everything from your social status to how many kids you have to single mother, not single mother. Like
Yeah.
all these things matter, and it will again, like I said, help you as much as it possibly can to navigate the craziness that is motherhood. I watch my wife every single day deal and just be as amazing as she is. But even she needs the help, and we're struggling just like anybody else. So we're trying to help others less struggle.
Makes
It's never
makes
not going to be a struggle. It's just going to be a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's some like YouTube channels and stuff like that where there's a lot of this kind of mom advice and things like that, and first time motherhood people posting and their personal stories. So like having some kind of support, it's something definitely like Western society. We aren't doing too much to encourage or support families, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so I mean, that's a whole other other discussion, but
That's a whole other podcast.
yeah, that's a whole other podcast. But not to get into that, but
Yeah.
okay, so you found a problem that, let's say, you resonated with, so you decided to do this.
Yeah.
How is it then, working with your wife to create this company, and also like the struggles of being a bootstrap company trying to scale up? How's that been?
Yeah, it's not been easy at
Yeah.
all. You have these fantasies when you start building a business and you see all these TV shows and
Oh yeah.
movies where you see the success bias that comes with it. It's and somebody also like I I grew up like my business grew up. I grew up in the startup world. Like I said, I've had hundreds of startups go through me one way or the other. And the thing is, not all of them are successful, or they are at different rates. So some are somewhat successful, some can't scale. But when you start from like real scratch, because usually when you get brought in, it's because this company has been somewhat successful and you're just trying to scale them up. Usually, when you really start from scratch, something that I've never done before, I've always kind of like, oh, even for me, I had the survivor bias, right? Like, oh, look
Yeah.
all these startups that I'm working with and they're doing so well and stuff like that, right? Uh, it's completely different, and to get somebody to give you money for something that may work in a period of time where giving money away is incredibly difficult, right? We're not at there. It's just hard. It's just hard. So there's that aspect.
Mm.
So then there's the wife and husband dynamic, which,
Yeah.
okay, so work never leaves. Like, you're always talking about work.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. For us, it's not an issue. I know I'm an outlier when it comes to this. We have a great relationship, both like we just have a really, really good relationship. And that's the only reason why I was willing to even do this. And it also happens to be about something that like my wife, like has had to do so many times. And she is the persona. She is the customer. So because of those two things, I was okay with doing it. And the reason why I believe we're not the dynamic of what you'd think it would be of like us fighting all the time is not there. It's not. Do we have arguments? Yes, just like any other relationship. But it's not to a point where like, oh my God, I'm getting a divorce. It's actually the
Well,
opposite.
it's more of like, I wouldn't say that. It's more of just how do you guys step away from work and like focus on your relationship, because you already have the 4 kids to,
Yes.
like, I just know from my experience too, is like when you have all these kids, I have 3 of my own, it's always all about the kids. And so now you say the kids and the business, then you're like, where's the time for us as a couple, which is a bit different, right?
The hardest thing, 100%, the hardest thing for us to do is to find time, which is why we've implemented in the household. There is a mommy and daddy turnoff time where it depends on the kid, but usually it's 9:30 where, okay, 9:30, even if you're not asleep, you're not in your bed and it's now mommy and daddy time. You can think about that however you want, but what that actually means. But for us, it's a time where we can talk like not about work. We can
Yeah.
talk about things that we want to talk about, and just sometimes just watch Netflix. Like it's just
Yeah.
a downtime. Does it work all the time? Do kids sometimes get sick? And it doesn't happen, yes. But the kids know 9:30 is the shut off time. That's where they're in bed, even if they're not asleep. Because I got my eldest, my daughter's almost 10. My son isn't the issue, but he's 8. But my daughter, my eldest daughter, she's not she doesn't like to sleep that much. She's go 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 all the time. So that's the way. We try to do at least once a month dates. Also, it
Yeah.
doesn't always work out. And we each try to have our own thing as well. So for me, it's some hobby. For my wife, it's a little bit more difficult because she does take care of the kids a little bit more. But a workout every once in a while, stuff like that. We
Yeah.
try to implement. It's it's
No,
it's
it's
hard.
good to have structure, right? So that totally makes sense, especially with kids. I find they like structure, having set bedtime. I've always done that too. More like I run it like a boot camp with my kids, but
Yeah.
they know at this time that's it. Brush teeth and go to bed, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Uh,
One thing I just want to say, it doesn't work out all the time. Like people, like, you have all
yeah,
these Instagram people, like all these gurus saying, yeah, that's it. No, 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 no. That is the wanted outcome. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you need that to be kind of like the baseline of what you try to do. Because if you don't even do that, then there'll be nothing. Right. So
yeah.
that's what you got to do. I just want to mention that. There's no perfect.
Well, I think we've kind of been brainwashed in the sense, as you said, the survivor bias, success bias, all these things. Like, and I mean, I've had the same experience. We bootstrap Ready Set Exec, and you're always comparing from social media, all these instant millionaires and all this kind of thing, and you're like, okay, well, how many companies are there, and how many actually made them? Like, there's only a few Bill Gates and Elon Musk's and so on, right?
Yeah.
Like, uh,
Yeah.
I think we're constantly inundated with these images of not even real. Like, a lot of times people are renting vehicles in their videos and so on. So it's like,
Yeah. Faking it until they're making it.
well, yeah, a lot of people like to fake the success, or
Yeah.
show for them. Showing the success is more than important than actually just being successful.
Yeah.
Any rich person I've ever met, they totally do not flaunt it. You think they're like, oh, does he even have a job? Like,
Yeah.
they dress they're driving their old Honda Accord that's like 30 years old or something. It's like, oh, I love that vehicle, and meanwhile they have 8-9 figures in the bank, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not chasing those kind of things is, I think, important, right?
Yes.
So tell me maybe a little bit about going and helping others, like, and wearing both hats, from being like an operator to a founder. What are some lessons you've learned with that? Because totally different thing than like helping others that are already somewhat successful, and then being a founder, and you know
Yes. So my resume is very much an entrepreneur resume. I've
Mhm.
tried to help businesses mostly within rather than building my own. The reason why it's an advantage when somebody asks for my advice, I understand how it is to work at the very, very low levels of any business. And I can give insights into that for these leaders that say, and a lot of them are very type A. Nothing stops them. They're similar to me, right? Nothing stops them. They don't care. They don't care about your feelings. The issue is that the world doesn't actually work that way, and it changes all the time. So, giving the introspection of understanding how working with other people that are not you, and also getting them to do what you need them to do, is something that I've been lucky to just I have that experience. So yeah, that's where I have a little bit of advantage, other than other kids that just come out of college and say they're marketing advisors, or
Yeah.
people that can't make it, or people that haven't been doing this for a very, very long time. Like, I only called myself an advisor or an ambassador, or whatever you want to call it, everything but a guru. I hate that word, but only after I've did the work, right? So yeah, I guess that's where my time is in the industry has kind of helped me. And to be able to now speak to an owner and say, and understand like both sides, like understanding, hey, listen, I understand that you're this kind of person and you want this to happen and you don't expect. At the end of the day, the people that you bring into the company, if they aren't equity shareholders, like actual like large chunks, I'm not talking about cliffs and 5-year vesting periods, but if they're not like in it, like in it with you, you can't expect them to treat the business as if it's their own. There are outliers out there. There's unicorns out there. I actually happen to know one of them that he will do everything for the business. And there are a few out there that exist, but usually they're there for the paycheck and they will do the best they possibly can. But at the end of the day, it's not their business. So you have to learn how to navigate that and deal with those people, make them feel as much as a part of the company as possible, and then obviously compensate them properly once things are work out.
I mean, that's something I've seen on the executive search side with talking to founders when they're first building their leadership team, right? And they're expecting people to come over and somehow be as committed to the business as they are as the owner and love it as much and think it's as special as it is to them. And I've seen that several times now recently too, where we're dealing with a founder and we're trying to hire for them, and in their mind, they're the, they got the best tech, they got the best, like they're the very best or somehow market leaders in their industry, and people should want to come work here and so on. But reality is, one, you're probably not that special or unique as you think you are.
Statistically,
I mean,
statistically, you're probably not. Yes.
And so, people are not just going to drop everything they're doing to come work without a getting paid properly, and also like having the value proposition that makes sense to them, right? So it's a lot more difficult than it seems, and I think for them it's a rude awakening once they go to market trying to hire and they figure out they don't have that big brand behind them, because maybe they worked at a bigger company where sometimes the brand is attracting talent more than the pay, like people want to go work at the Googles and the Apples of the world and so on, right?
But they also pay.
Well, that's true. But even if the pay is not as competitive, I think a good brand that's well known, you're more likely to make an attempt. I've seen a lot of candidates drop out just because they're iffy about the company. They don't know it.
True.
They've never heard of it before. Hiring in that environment is a lot more difficult than say, and sometimes you just have to pay. You have to actually pay above market a little bit to bring in the good talent for a company that's no name, where like no one's heard of them before. And you're like, okay, well, we're going to put our, roll out the red carpet to bring in the talent that we need. And yes, maybe we're paying 20% premium, but it's what's needed,
Yeah. Yeah. The issue that I see with founders is how, the interview processes, as like interviews now it's been this weird whirlwind of who has the better frame, meaning who actually has the power. Is it the person? Is it the company that has the position, or is it the person that has the talent? And then if the company is willing to take a risk on somebody, like it's a big risk. It could be potential like 30% of revenue, and if they're at the beginning of their, let's just say, their journey, right? You can be paying $250K a year, potentially even American, to bring on somebody that you aren't really sure about, even though they have a background of success, but you don't know how they will work for you. And I understand business owners. I understand CEOs like struggling with paying that premium. That's like, I feel them. That's what I was getting to.
It's a big risk when it's one of your first hires. And I mean, when it's like your first executive you're bringing in and you're like, wow, that's, a percentage of our budget. That's a good percentage of our revenue. I've seen a lot of this sort of like hedging their bets and a lot of risk aversion to it. But end of the day, it's like, you're not going to find that purple unicorn you're looking for usually to come. It's really more about like attitude. Like for me, I think in hiring for startups is all about hiring someone, that's going to grind it out and work hard, because it's going to be usually a shit show in the first little while until things start to move. And if someone's not resilient and hardworking,
Yeah.
that's the key factor, I would think, as opposed to maybe, experience or technical expertise, which can be, some people have that, but they're not, they're not grinders,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You could probably see somebody who has maybe the experience or the ability, but when it comes to when, like, again, I'm gonna use the word shit again. When shit hits the fan, they completely break down. And I'd
Yeah.
prefer somebody that can deal with a little bit of splatter, um, and work through it rather, and maybe not have the best experience, but together you kind of successfully work things through. Because when that happens, this isn't a one person deals with the thing; it's the whole business deals with it kind of thing. And that's when you need people that can be resilient, as you said, and work through it, rather than just having some person who's a hot shot thinks they can do everything, and then all of a sudden they
Well, and
break.
if they were at a big enterprise before, they may be used to structure and used to the brand carrying a lot of the load. Like I know in sales,
Oh yeah,
especially, people that
oh
work
yeah,
from big enterprise having the ease of opening doors with their brand name, and they don't realize it maybe when they're in it, because they're just like, oh, I'm just a good salesperson. It's like, well, the brand's probably doing 30% of the work for you. You just don't realize that it's opening doors, it's getting you appointments. It's when you're in a top 5 selection process in enterprise sales,
yeah,
they're going to go for the brand they know most likely as one of the top choices. So it's just like it helps you so much with your close rates.
yeah,
And then you go to a startup where no one knows your product, no one's even tried it before, no name recognition, G2 reviews, I don't know, maybe,
if you're
and
lucky,
you're like
yeah.
starting from scratch.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like being a salesperson at HubSpot versus being a salesperson at some unknown CRM that's just building their thing, but they have an awesome tool, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the same applies with marketing as well, right?
100%.
If you were marketing for a large enterprise, you're used to being more of a maintenance person, like you're not building. But if you're coming into a startup, you're having to build all those systems that don't exist, right? Like how do we
Yeah.
do outreach? How do we show up? Where do we show up? What's
Yeah.
our budget? Oh, it's that little. Okay. And thinking of ways to do that. So for, let's say, marketers that are just graduating, and they're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen with my career now.
Yeah.
What would you recommend to new university grads? Because we've worked with a lot of interns now that are right in university. They're looking to, like, what do I do for my first job?
So yeah, so one of the things I would do is kind of similar to what you're doing with your interns. Get as many internships as you possibly can.
Mhm.
I know, I believe in Canada there you have to pay them. I don't know if unless there's some kind of like government subsidized thing, but I would even do things without getting paid. I would make mistakes at that level. Speak to as many people as you can that you want to be like. So I have a lot of maybe less experienced marketers contacting me all the time, asking me, "Hey, Philip,
Yeah.
I have this issue. What should I do?" And there's a lot of people like me out there that just want to help. So I give a lot of free advice, probably more than I should, but I give a lot of free advice, and that's just the way you just have to. A lot of people learn. A lot of people can't. Some people can learn from the book and then implement. Most people need to do the work and learn on the job. And I personally think that's the best way to do it. That's the way I've learned how to do things, just literally until today, hands on, as you know, John, with a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't be at my level of experience, right? But I, until today, go into Facebook, into meta ads, and I'm like relearning how to implement TikTok Shop better. I'm figuring out new social listening tools every day. I'm utilizing new AI CRMs. Like if you don't do that, one, you can't be that cutting edge person that you should be as a marketer, because you have to be a good one. And two, you're not worth it. As bad as that sounds, you're not worth it if you're not doing that stuff. So for those kids out there, you're super lucky because AI is a thing, and you can learn a lot of things. You can kind of start from a much higher point of execution now because AI can help you with a lot of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like AI is still messing things up. So it's good to kind of have somebody like a mentor that's willing to answer a few questions every once in a while, but make mistakes. John, I don't know if you've probably heard this. You heard me say this more than once, but the L stands for learning, not loss. That's how I see
No,
it.
it totally makes sense. And I mean, I think it's just getting those opportunities because it's like if you look at marketing, and this is where there's a big disconnect, right? The lack of alignment between like the founder or the CEO with marketing is like marketing has become such a complex,
Yeah,
tech heavy
yeah,
kind of endeavor now
yeah,
where there's so many different tools. We're talking SEO, PPC, ads, like
yeah.
it's it's very technical. So do you think it's wise to be generalist still, or should people specialize in specific things? Like what's the best route you think
The
for
best
that?
route is to be generalist until you find something you really love. Then you can niche down.
Yeah.
You can niche down. You don't have to. You can niche down. I'll tell you what I did. I started with SEO, and then I quote unquote mastered SEO. And then I moved on to the next thing, and I quote unquote mastered that. And then I went on to the next thing, and that's the next thing, and I'm still on my next thing. But don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I'm learning every single day. But that is what I think you should do. If you're lucky and you get really, really good at one thing, stick to it and just be that person. Because if you don't get really good at the rest of them, it's very difficult to stand out unless you're lucky, which is a thing too. People get
Yeah.
lucky.
Well, I guess because there's so much to learn now, you kind of have to bring in those specialists for certain things, you know, like for example, I know most CMOs are going to bring in an agency or hire like a PPC specialist just to handle the either the media buying or the whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Because it requires a lot of time and effort, and it's like, well, that's more of a tactical thing than strategy.
We also have to remember, even with the tools that exist today with AI, you still need a minimum of 3 people in the business to be able to do everything you want to do.
Yeah.
As quickly as you want to do it, right? There's only so much one person can do, even with all the tools that exist.
Yeah.
Talk to me about a year and a half. It might be different. It could be possible as one person, but you still need to it'll take me a while to say I can trust AI doing everything by itself. It'll take me a while just because it still messes up sometimes, not as much as it used to, but it still messes up. And there
Yeah.
should be somebody accountable because you can't imagine suing AI. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine blaming AI for something that it did wrong because of how
Yeah.
you told it to do it.
Well, the lawsuits are coming. They've actually done that for certain things where it hallucinates or does some, you know, we've heard some horror stories out there with some things with AI. But
Exactly.
let's take a look at like modern marketing teams and agencies, right? Like you worked in an agency, right? So
Yeah.
the trend now from what I'm seeing is reducing headcount, right? They're trying to do that.
Yeah.
It's definitely very tough in the agency space right now for a lot of companies because they're competing with those solopreneur marketers that are out there.
Yeah.
So how do you make agency work now? Like what's the new model, you know?
The new model, what I'm seeing is you come in as
Fractional CMO, is that?
yeah. You come in as fractional. There's 2 ways to do it. You either come in as fractional, where you deal with everything. If you have a team or not, doesn't matter. But you're the person that talks to the client, you're the person who's accountable, and that's one way of doing it. The other way, if you are a solopreneur, is, and I know you don't love this, John, but is getting a trial period in which you get let's call it reduced salary for that period, prove your worth. And
Yeah.
then afterwards say, hey, listen, I've done this. It's been 3 months. Do you believe I should move forward or not? Now, this is for both sides. So both sides, this is a a learning experience for both sides, a trial period for both sides, because I know I've joined companies in the past where I wish I had that and I would have left because now quitting is because I joined a company as I am is problematic. And so yeah, so it's a trial period for both people, because sometimes a CEO says one thing and then the next day he's like, oh no, I want it to be this way. That
Yeah.
happens too. So
Well, I mean, I think we discussed a little bit on your post there on LinkedIn about
yeah,
that the trial period thing. And I guess for me, my concern is just in general, we're seeing everything become a gig economy now, like everything. And, you lose your benefits, you lose your full time status, your W-2 status, all that kind of stuff
hmm
in the US. And like, do we want the whole economy to be just contractors? And like to me, that's not really stable. Maybe that's what we're moving towards because like for example, CMO tenure is 1.8 years right now. So does it make sense just
that's
for have
nothing.
all? Yeah. So does it make sense just to have all the marketers as just contractors then? Because what's the point if you're going to get fired in 18 months or whatever?
There is the want, what I would love to happen and what I would
Yeah.
love to happen versus what is actually happening. And unfortunately, this is the road we're going down until something levels out, until technology levels out for a bit, until the way people see a business kind of solidifies, because now nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows what's going on. The uncertainty of just the world is screwing with everybody.
Yeah.
So until things start calming down, I just see us, yes, it's going to be a gig economy. And if you're lucky, you fall on somebody that's willing to invest more of their time in your business and they actually do a good job. And that's how things are going, because nobody's safe. And when nobody's safe, you're hedging you're hedging your risks,
Yeah.
as you mentioned. And it's for both the business and this solopreneur or the contractor or whatever it is, the freelancer. So yeah, my prediction is it's going to be like this for another good 5 years, and then we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if there's any jobs after that at all.
Good,
By the
good,
way they're
good point.
talking over at Anthropic and so on, it's pretty scary stuff. But I
Yeah,
guess my big concern was just listen, whatever happened to the social contract of our parents' generation, where you work at a company, you get a pension, you work 20 years, you get experience, you move up, you got job security, and that seems like that's completely gone. And so for me, I'm looking at the new generation thinking of my kids, of like what kind of economy are they going to be working in, and is it going to be a stable one enough that they can have a family? And like if you're a gig worker, the insecurity of that is we're talking about with Maguire having more kids. Well, if I'm a gig worker, I'm probably not having kids because I'm stressed out all the time. When's my next meal? When's my next contract?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
That's why people like those jobs, because it gives you that, okay, I can plan. I know my paycheck's coming every second Friday. And so I can now, what's my budget? Can I afford to have kids? How much is daycare? All those kind of things
yeah,
come into discussion. So kind of goes full circle into like, if we're going to prioritize families and kids, then we need to have some kind of job security. And that's why I don't like the gig economy, because I think it creates that insecurity. And I'm thinking about my kids and how, they're going to be navigating all this, so that's my concern.
uh,
Now, is it good for some people? Yes, you can make a lot of money if you're very good at what you do. For the average person, though, I think they're going to really struggle. It's
yes, I
very
agree.
stressful.
I 100% agree with you. And like I said, it's a want versus what's actually happening. Would I love to have our parents' security when it comes to, okay, I have this job, I can afford this mortgage, I don't need to work 3 other jobs,
Yeah.
at least for most, obviously not all, but like we don't have a choice. The world is going in the way it's going right now. So it's either find a job that does not compensate you enough, or do something else that potentially can, or find the middle ground where you do both.
Yeah.
So have the 9 to 5, and in the meantime, do the side hustle, which will eventually become your business. And then if you want, once you have a successful business and it does need employees, try to make the change within your own company and just do it that way. I think we need to stop trying to change the world and try to change, first of all, our inner circle, and let that kind of flow outwards, rather than trying to force everybody to. You can't. We're all a drop of water, and we just can't.
Well, I guess, end of the day, it comes down to like betting on yourself, right? Like that's what Patrick and I did by starting Ready Set Exec. That's why
Mhm.
you're doing with your thing as well. Like
Yeah.
it's you got to bet on yourself at some point, because the economy's not what we need it to be, and
Right.
so we have to just deal, right? So
Yeah.
I think for everybody listening, it's like, hey, explore those options. Talk to you about some ideas for that maybe, and
Yeah.
we'll see how it
Listen,
goes.
if you want to start anything, I can definitely help you think of how you should start it and what you should worry about, what you shouldn't worry about. I can definitely help with that. But yeah, it's not easy. It is not easy, and stop thinking that you're gonna have a viral video that makes you millions. It is literally one in a billion. So yeah,
Yeah, we're not all those viral guys that within a month they have like millions and millions of
millions in
views.
yeah. Listen, it happens, but statistically, it happens. I'm just thinking about all the businesses that exist, and it's maybe 1 in 100 million. You have like
Yeah,
these stories. You just see them all at once because somebody's talking about them because that's their job.
yeah,
They're doing advertising for their own business, and they know, and they're trying to get you to do their services because their services could potentially bring you that thing. So that's why you're getting that survivor bias. But overall, it's a grind. It's always going to be a grind for most people, unless you're incredibly lucky.
yeah.
And yeah,
Well, I mean, that's the thing, just in to final kind of statement, I'd say is anything worth doing it is going to be difficult, and that's why it's worth doing it, and that's why you're going to feel fulfilled. Like I can tell you, starting the business was very fulfilling to me, and so it's not only the money, it's also like feeling that you have purpose, that
you
you're doing
did it.
something, something that
You
has
did it.
value, and that you
Yeah.
did. So there's also that, as hard as it is, there's that aspect to it where you can go work with many other companies, and end of the day, you're a number, right? And
Yes.
it doesn't matter as much, and you don't feel, you don't care as much either, right? It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess we made the case for entrepreneurship. We'll see what people think.
Listen, I'm not bashing on getting a job, but what I would like people to think about when they are going into a business is to think like an entrepreneur. The terminology for it is an entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
that will differentiate you, and that will help you grow within a business a lot faster. If you pretend that every dollar that comes out of the business comes out of your own pocket, and how you can make the company better. And if you can do that and you change your mindset, you can grow as an employee pretty probably more quickly than if you wouldn't do that. Because not every I'll tell you the truth, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Like it's not easy at all. So it's not that everybody should be an entrepreneur. I'm just saying everybody should have an entrepreneur mindset. That's what I'm saying. Everybody should have an entrepreneur mindset. Then everybody should be an entrepreneur. And if you are, if you do think that way, that is how you'll succeed in life. Because otherwise,
Well, and founders like to see that, right? Founders like to see
yeah,
people that take some responsibility and take some ownership and commit to the business. So,
yeah,
you can see that from day one of, someone that works till 5 and says, hey, it's 5:01, I'm out of here, versus others that like, hey, I know what needs to be done. I see the big picture. I know that I'm going to be part of the success. And so that's what that is.
yeah.
Anyway, it was nice having you on the podcast today, and
My pleasure.
I think we've given people some things to think about,
For
as
sure.
they're navigating sort of this crazy market in 2026. So
Yes. Thanks for having me. And yeah, if anybody wants to reach out, they can find me on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's looking forward to seeing any responses on this podcast. It'd be interesting.
sounds good. All right.